Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. And if you're like me, finding a place to eat is never an easy thing to do. Whether you're in New York or DC or traveling, I always find myself wishing I had a trusted friend I could call to tell me where to have dinner or lunch or just where to eat. The infatuation is that friend. The infatuation helps you find the right restaurant for any situation. Need a place for a first date? Trying to find a spot for your birthday that you don't want to celebrate, except you kind of have to. I had that a couple of weeks ago, by the way. The infatuation has you covered in all these situations and many, many more. So if you need a place to eat, but don't want to read through thousands of unreliable crowdsourced reviews from imbeciles that you have no idea who they are, hit up theinfatuation.com or download their free app for iOS or Android to search thousands of restaurant reviews and guides in 22 major cities around the world. Or let the infatuation do the work for you by sending a text to 64560. Again, that's text to 64560. A real person is going to respond to you and help you find a restaurant that's perfect for whatever situation you're in. Now, let's get going. This is the No BS Coaching Advice Podcast, episode 109. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. I like to spend some time weekly talking with you about some aspect of life, the universe, and everything. And I love it when shows come together like this one is. As you know, most of what I do is short little discussions on different topics that all kind of pull together into one cohesive theme. And the first thing really, this is really a show about sports and media. And I was watching playoff games this weekend, and there was a very compelling story that was embedded in the Los Angeles Rams win over Dallas. Their well-known running back is a man named Todd Gurley, who's been playing with injuries for the latter part of the season. And they signed a running back who was cut by 3 other teams. He had been successful and a Super Bowl champion previously, but now he was on the way out. And he's now signed by a playoff team, and he's playing in their first game of the postseason, the second round of the playoffs. And he has a great day. And you know, it would have been so easy for him to give up. It would have been so easy for him to quit because he's been cut by some of the worst teams in football as not having a place anymore. And there he is being interviewed at the end of the game. And he says, the only way your dreams die is when you give up on them. Folks, don't give up on your dreams so easily. You're just running into roadblocks sometimes. And don't forget, there's still opportunities out there for you. The pitching coach for the New York Mets is a man named Dave Eiland, E-I-L-A-N-D. He used to be a pitcher with the Yankees before George Steinbrenner watched him pitch one day and had him immediately traded elsewhere. He's been a very good pitching coach, helped turn around the Kansas City Royals rotation before joining the Mets as their coach a little over a year ago. Now, going into the new season, he likes to set out a theme for his pitchers, and the theme became public. I think it's a good lesson for all of us. And the theme for this year is make pitches, not excuses. Folks, a lot of us like to explain our failures and give rationalizations for them, but if we make the pitch, we don't have to give an excuse for why it wasn't delivered properly. We've hit the corners. We've struck out batters. We've gotten them to hit into ground balls. The fact of the matter is, most of us don't put our mental effort into being excellent, being world class every pitch, as is demanded of pro athletes. How can you make your pitches instead of making excuses? A podcast interview I listened to with Smokey Robinson yielded 2 fabulous stories that yield life lessons I think all of us can take. The first one included an episode where he met Gordy, the founder of Motown. he was there auditioning with his band for the managers of another artist, and it didn't go all that well. But Gordy heard him and asked him if he had any other songs that he had recorded that he thought were worthwhile. Eventually, Smokey signs with Gordy. They become part of the Motown launch, and he tells a story about how Gordy had this philosophy that said competition breeds success. And the way that expressed itself at Motown was that any artist could write for any other artist. It was the idea that no one was really siloed. They could cross-pollinate their music and their ideas with one another. And the best ideas would always surface. Smokey Robinson wrote some of the great songs for the Four Tops, as well as for his own acts. And I'm not going to go through a lengthy list. Just look for Smokey Robinson and the Miracles and just recognize that competition breeds success. There's another story that he tells where he speaks about a time in his life where he was doing drugs. And he was isolating and not performing particularly well. And one of his friends came over to him and spent some time and asked him how he's doing and where he's been recently. And he goes, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay, man. And the friend challenged him and said, no, you're not. We need friends who can really challenge us at times where we need to be challenged. And in this day and age, so many of us just want to be complimented and praised and never hear the harsh cut that comes with a real friend who's willing to put everything on the line because they really love us. As I record this, parts of the U.S. government are furloughed. People are not being able to work. Unessential, non-essential workers are not working. And it comes about because politicians have this weird idea of negotiating. Let me just read the definition of negotiation to you. Negotiation, discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. Do you see anything in there about the word capitulation, or does negotiation involve a give and take? We don't have to replicate our politicians in our dealings with one another. We can listen to and hear one another, make small accommodations that allow us to reach consensus, knowing full well that perfection is not the goal, but consensus really is. Now, some of you hold the belief that your way is absolutely right, and so does the other side. How are you ever going to change things if you hold that? And we're not talking about matters of race, religion, sexual orientation, gender issues. We're talking about a political issue here. We talk about office issues here, where people demand and insist upon complete capitulation. That isn't what negotiation means, and it never will. So that's today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to the show. Just subscribe so you get downloads whenever I release a new episode. Each show is going to be bite-sized morsels of advice just like today's. I hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope you subscribe. And if you do choose to subscribe, I hope you decide to support the show. There's a link that will take you to anchor.fm where you can make a pledge in support of the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you're interested in my coaching you, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you listen to the show. I just happen to like knowing I'm helping some folks. And once we're connected, message me about your interest in coaching. We'll set up a free call. We'll get acquainted, see if it makes sense. I'll be back soon with more. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Take care.